punny casting ever. 10 out of 10. Thank you. At least it wasn't 6.5, so I appreciate that. You're willing to give me the 10 out of 10.
It's because he feels bad for you. Because my jokes were better. Yeah, they were honestly, can we both just have a truce and say that both were pretty bad? But I am willing to take the stake of let's...
I'm going to take my stamp of approval away. It
was a seal of approval, and he's a real seal. You can't just take him away.
But it's a stamp that seals. So that's how it is. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, because of several reasons, we can't have a seal here in the studio.
Name 3 and I might believe you.
Laws.
Okay.
All right.
That was already...
Studio rules.
Okay.
We would have way too much fun playing with that seal, and we would not actually cast the game.
Screw casting. I'm now a seal trainer. Especially if he looks like Dugong, you know, right? It's the Pokemon. I don't remember the exact name of it. It's a part of the original 150.
There's an actual seal.
Oh, you're right. That was his real name, huh?
Dugong is a real name.
Oh, well, yeah, I know, because that cross name. You know, and at this point, I can go backtrack in my wording and explain how I'm not a total idiot, but that takes too much time, and it's a lot easier if we just accept the fact that I'm a dingus.
All right. I'm willing to accept that. Happily. We've got the next map for game number 4, yes.
Jesus, thank you. My goodness. Gilly was killing me there.
I'm sorry.
Naventic taking us to Sky.
Yeah.
It's nice to see them picking, you know, a team fight-oriented map.
It's been higher and higher on their priority to be able to go to Sky Temple. They'll have the battleground, but no Tomorrow. For the first time this series has first pick.
I brought it up before. Watch Naventic in the priority over Illidan, or at least Zuna on something that doesn't involve Dahaka. I do fear that it will shift too much. It's something we've seen a bit in the past from them. I'm talking way back here, but historically, you know, they have shown that sometimes they can overreact in the middle of a series when it comes to their drafting.
Just checking out team's priorities while the guitar solo blares on in my headset.
I was just going to say, are we rocking a little harder than normal? Like, my goodness.
And there hasn't been an ETC in ages.
Yes, yeah.
That's where you were going to, wasn't
it? I was kind of...
Nice.
Yep, bad jokes.
Hive mind's complete.
Bad jokes left and right here. You know what I also learned this weekend? If you go into try mode in ETC and Mosh Pit and you use the move cheat, he actually can teleport to the other side. I just want everybody to know this is not Team Dignitas and Playing Ducks.
Yeah.
We aren't going to Europe. Illidan banned out. I'm guessing that comes out from No Tomorrow. So what do we expect here? I guess I'm not guessing. We know who picked the map. Feels bad, but it is the Illidan priority. I did want to say, you know, what if that was picked up first pick? But now they don't even play into the idea. Just remove it right out the gates.
Well, before it was sort of like we'll ban Abathur, but it didn't really seem like... It didn't seem like No Tomorrow were scared of anything in particular. They were just sort of banning things that they didn't want to play and they didn't want to deal with. But now they've found something to be afraid of, and that is not playing Ducks. That is Naventic's Illidan. But Naventic are going to respond with a Genji. It's killing me.
It's worse by the fact that both of their team names start with the letter N as well. So when I go, No Tomorrow, I'm pretty sure, or maybe it was Naventic. Yeah, it's going to be the first pick. Tassadar here for No Tomorrow. Naventic in the 2-3 slot. Traditionally, you would assume that's a Dahaka, right? Like, you would immediately go, this is a Dahaka game. Okay, so we have Genji banned out. We've got Illidan banned out. If they don't pick Dahaka, if my theory still holds true, it's going to be something weird, but it shouldn't be here. It should be in, like, the next two, and I'm guessing it would be something kind of like a Zeratul, something weird in that melee hyper carry kind of role. Greymane and Nubarak, though, are the pick for Naventic. So again, holding true that they have different draft priorities from week 3 and from week 2.
The only other thing I would have thought of for this rotation for Naventic would have been maybe an Uther Anub.
Yeah.
But definitely the Anub here. And that may mean that No Tomorrow needs to get their Warrior here if they want Stitches, because Naventic have been willing to ban into that Warrior choke before. But again, Casanova can play lots of different things, so if it's less of a concern for them, they can go ahead and get their Tracer here. Anything else?
I want Tracer, and I want Stitches. Why do you do this to me? I was so close to being cool. Like, the cadence between the two was near perfect. Like, I mean, if we're going to script the show, we might as well script it right. You know what I mean? Jesus.
They're going off script. They're improvising.
Oh, man. You know, but getting the Dahaka rotation, I'm not convinced here. This is another weird, you know, moment for No Tomorrow to draft that up. I did expect it to be a primary warrior or at least a higher priority damage dealer. Just Dahaka not sold on a map like this with Naventic's low prioritization and doesn't synergize with Tracer Task playstyle too well either. It's not terrible. I mean, it just doesn't fit in maybe as much as they would like.
Yeah, you look at what's left, and it's Equinox has to do the damage. And Talking Trees with Tassadar, because Jason's going to be on Dahaka, they still need to have a primary warrior for Casanova, and then they need their support. It's sort of like we saw Roll20 play a double warrior, double support Ariel comp with Tracer being the primary hope target, and it worked for Roll20, it did. But it was a different composition to see, definitely.
Rhaegar banned out for Naventic. What do we see here? It's going to be the Abathur continuing to hold up as a ban for No Tomorrow. You know, I like the fact that it feels like we're seeing the Slug as much as I feel like he belongs in the meta, but I'm surprised it's No Tomorrow the one paying the most attention to him, and then I'm sad it's a little bit that it's always banned, you know? Maybe decide to pick it up once in a while. Granted, this is not the comp to do it. They've already got themselves a beautiful Task Tracer and global pressure from that Dahaka. Naventic, though, the Uther still holding true. What is the next pickup for them? Do they go into the Ariel attempt of a double support, or do they play a more standard? I guess I don't even want to say the word standard. A solo support. I feel like it's 50-50 at this point. We don't have a norm, and at least not North America.
Naventic have been willing and wanting to play Li Ming before, so that's still a possibility too.
Yeah. They have the Curse Bullet to enable Li Ming for the follow-up reset.
But you are going to be up against a double warrior, double support composition.
Which is about the last person you want to Li Ming into.
It's hard to get resets there.
All right, so I will say that Naventic is the team who is without a doubt most consistent to, I guess with Lunara specifically, they are the most old school in how she kind of plays out, but the heroes that they synergize with her, like the Malthael we saw, the double poison problem, we have debatably, you know, a little bit of what we've seen in the past where if we see a team try to commit to go for the throw and having the Li Ming being, you know, going with the burst and the reset, they might not be able to execute that. So I feel like though this isn't Lunara, so maybe they won't be as stubborn, it's absolutely crucial that we see a Curse Bullet here. Somebody has to prep that double warrior and the double support, and it's too short of cooldown to give up. Karzim coming out here for No Tomorrow, and the Stitches. This... Wouldn't be surprised if we saw 7-sided this game, actually. This is one of the... This is kind of adding up to, like, just go 7-sided, even though Tiger is one of the most palm heavy supports.
And every time I have seen them play Task Tracer Karzim, it's still been with Karzim with Palm.
Yeah.
And you would think like, oh, it can be hard to hit Palms with Task Shields. It can be hard to hit it on Tracer, who has next to nothing in her health bar. He still hits them.
Yep, he very much does. It's just, the main thing for me is like, all comes down to Archon. Do you take Archon? If you feel like you want the consistent Archon damage, you got to move into the Palm direction. But if we see the Force Wall come out, you make up for that damage lack thereof with, you know, the Force Wall to lock them in, the 7-sided, and the Stitches hook is the draw. And there is no way somebody survives that with a Pulse Bomb on top of them. Their kill potential is amazing. It should force a Divine Shield out of Tomster on the other side. But it's going to be the Arthas locked in here for Naventic as the last pick. So I think my theory fell apart, Gilly. Unless Greymane is Zuna, it fell apart. I'm a sad day.
I'm sorry. Your theory of him wanting to be
prioritize and shifting the whole, you know, Naventic theory crafting of overreacting to the results of the last game and maybe high priority. The only way that would still be true is if he's on...
Who plays what there between the Warriors? It might be that Zuna, I think Zuna's going to play a new Barak, actually.
I feel like that's where it should add up, right? Is like the main still go to B-Kid, and then a new Barak being played by Zuna. But if things are weird, then it's where iDream fills one of those roles. Then you move the B-Kid over to whatever Warrior you want him on, and then Zuna's going to be on the Greymane. If that happens, I feel like it's a huge show of the mentality here.
Well, Team Naventic has a composition that is still strong and has been strong for a long time. A lot of HGC, ever since the Arthas changes came in.
Yep.
No Tomorrow has a double warrior, double support that is reliant on Tracer, but it's Equinox playing the Tracer. And it's on Sky Temple. They're going to be brawling. They can supplement with damage elsewhere, potentially a 7-sided strike, potentially some other things too. Tassadar can do a lot more damage as well, even though his Templar's Will was nerfed in the current patch we're in. Do you give the edge to either composition here?
I feel like, purely on composition, no. I feel like both have very reasonably well-rounded committing to the map, and both are long-standing comps. You know, these are nothing that we haven't seen before. So I feel like because of that, I would say it's like kind of a 50-50, whoever's better. And then when it comes to who's better, I still give it over to No Tomorrow.
Well, let's get into the game and find out. We're headed to Sky Temple for game number 4.
Man, a Task Tracer game here. Again, Tiger JK is going to be that Kharazim. What we expect the Palm because he has just been so Palm focused. But again, this is one of the few games where we could see that hook force wall into Kharazim 7-sided. The real original blow up Stitches. Not really the original. Kharazim was added way too late to the game to be the OGs.
Over in Naventic's camp, Zuna is going to be playing Arthas this time, with BK playing a new Barak, and then iDream on that Greymane. So we will watch Zuna's Arthas build to see what adjustments he might make now that he's the Arthas player for the team. Because I think before they had, in this duo, in this pairing, BK playing the Arthas and then Zuna playing a new Barak.
Wow, big orb coming out from Big Impact. You know, I wish his name was not so easy to meme off of, because on a day like today, I was like, and he's going to be looking for just that, am I right? You know, a big impact here on this game. But no, for real, just when looking at the comp, I mean, he's got a lot on his shoulders this match. And he is, I feel like, one of those players on the roster of Naventic that, if given the right chances, he will clutch it out when necessary. And so, you know, if we get resets here, maybe Naventic can use that and abuse that, nice dodge, to set themselves apart.
Hook caught Tomster. So far, neither the drag nor the hook amounting into a kill. See some of Equinox stats. The biggest deal is that he's 5-1 currently with Tracer. Did lose one game with her last week, but otherwise, Task Tracer has been such an important duo for No Tomorrow to be able to draft. Specifically because while the rest of the team might still be working on synergy with Equinox, Talking Trees and Equinox used to play on a team together on Gust or Bust for a long time. And so, and they even still played Task Tracer together on that team. So that was one thing that they were able to bring in and instantly find synergy together with, even through the Tassadar changes that have come in since then.
Staying true no matter the roster. The skirmish here, the members of Naventic, we've got 4 up into the mid lane. Greymane still kind of holding his own in the matchup against Dahaka. Tiger JK, though, meanwhile, is solo capping on that top half. It's all about delaying here up in the middle part for No Tomorrow. They have no intent of actually killing anything. It's just buying time for the the Kharazim to transition down later.
Well, Spawn's going to connect on top of Zuna. It's healthy for now. Equinox gets hit by a giant orb. And that'll be the end of that. At least for now, stepping back. But there's still plenty of shots. There's plenty of ways for No Tomorrow to try to delay, especially since Kharazim was able to finish that top temple so early.
Yep, and now that was the sole intent there about the delay up on mid. Now you see that Kharazim has the opportunity to move down. Dahaka is going to find his way in. And suddenly, No Tomorrow's found themselves with 1.5 of the shots out of those 2 shrines in the early stages of this game. That nets themselves, what, about half level in the experience department. The biggest downside to No Tomorrow here is that the next minute and a half is very relevant for them, because they do struggle in wave clear, so much so that if Dahaka is in a prime spot, they kind of suffer over the night phase. But as long as they prioritize their giants properly and enable them, they can really thrive with that pressure on the bottom fort wall.
Dread, I am so impressed with Tomster's Uther. I feel like we got a lot of great Kharazim play from him right out of the gates when he switched over to support. But his Uther play this series has been so fun and awesome to watch, from his Divine Storms in the last game to especially his Hammers of Justice, being able to hit that hammer to stop Equinox from getting in on the chase even more as they were disengaging. He's been hitting a lot of those in very pivotal ways for Naventic, and I am very excited to see, again, how Tomster does in his continued transition to support for Naventic based off of how well he's doing so soon.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to rate of improvement, probably we saw, what was it, 2 roster or role swaps over to support in all of Phase 1. I would argue nobody's had the improvement rate of Tomstar, at least out of those early on. Yeah, I mean, the guy is just gone from, you can tell, feeling a little bit clunky to he's making plays on, again, it feels like nearly the debut of his Uther here in week number 4. Jason, though, has found himself once more with the members of Naventic purely chasing on down.
The slow's still there. Tomstar's going to get into range for Hammer of Justice. That'll be a kill for Team Naventic, and they claim first blood.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about, when these next couple of moments are going to be so important for them. Now losing the Dahaka means they are behind, at least when it comes to the Burrow. They should struggle on the window of this next Shrine phase, and that is enough for Naventic to possibly catch up and pull ahead into this experience. Legitimately, you could not have killed a better hero at a better time than what we just saw with Naventic ganking the Dahaka on top.
And Naventic are still behind in experience, but they're able to get their bruisers and get set up for the next temple phase. No Tomorrow, though, has already transitioned to the bottom lane. They got their giants, and they're working on pushing along with them, even taking some of the shots here in bottom. As long as they see members in the lanes, they feel comfortable to be able to leave Karazim there and push elsewhere. So they're not even over-committing on resources in the bottom lane. They want to make sure that they can clear up those bruisers in the top that Naventic were pushing it with and not let Naventic get any more advantages.
Yeah, Naventic's not been given too much after that. The shots, though, on bottom, what are they going to get? It's a full 4 and just probably a turret up on mid. I'm wondering if this window... Oh, the turret's even gone there. So I'm just wondering if this window is big enough for No Tomorrow to capitalize, you know? In game 1, 2, obviously not 3, they didn't really have a lead there. But in all the games where we saw them winning into the early game, they did a very effective job with their 10 advantage. Now it's not as, you know, maybe straightforward as we'd experienced in games 1 and 2. So now, is it as impactful? Do they take out that mid 4? Do they force fights? It looks like they're going to be able to on here on bottom.
Pulse Bomb, and that was Quantum Spike as well, so that will give that additional 10% max health damage now, which helps a lot for the damage of No Tomorrow. Rest of heroic abilities, still Palm. We've got Archon too, so there was the pairing that you talked about. Body blocks Severe, and the drag pulls Zuna back in. Casanova's there, drops Putrid Bile, and they will take out Arthas.
And here's the cycle on to the mid-4th that I was referring to. Now, and the fact that they got Arthas too, what are we going to see No Tomorrow do with their downtime? We actually haven't gotten to see this case happen too much, where it's a clear advantage with the 10 spike, but not to where it's, you know, it's not huge. Where do they go? Is that like a boss? Is that giants for them? Or does that look like a keep front wall?
Doesn't seem like they're posturing for the keep front wall. They want to put Dahaka back into lane immediately. You can also soak into that bottom lane as well. Looks like for them, they are content with the advantage they were able to accrue off of that, which was taking out the final fort, getting the kill, getting a level lead, and getting back into lane so they can further that.
iDream's been struggling in this matchup the entire time. It's just been, you know, you pretty much asked the question, does iDream have somebody else there to aid him? Oh man, Equinox tracking him down. It's just, Greymane can't do much in the Dahaka matchup. Early on feels a little successful, but then as it goes on, just the survivability that he provides, he can, you know, you can gank him all day and Dahaka can live, but Greymane is so very susceptible. His only gap closer, he has to be offensive first. And that is why we see him getting caught out here. But 10 seconds, Gilly, and we've got the next Shrine up.
But Naventic now have their heroic abilities. They have Cursed Bullet to try to help the team guarantee get the first kill that will let Li Ming get a slew of resets with Calamity. Disintegrate as well. The more standard Cocoon from Team Naventic. Who do you think that will be put on? Ideally, maybe a Karazim or maybe a Tracer?
You know,
Tracer's hard to hit.
I feel like whoever, it depends who the kill target is. Personally, I like the idea of killing Stitches and dropping it on Karazim. Well, they agree.
There you go.
Stitches is dead. Can they get any burst after that? Yeah, wow, man. Okay, so why Stitches is because he's the only one without a self-defensive. He is just stuck when he's there, especially post-E. Whereas there's 2 pause buttons when looking at the Dahaka on the other side. And then why you go Karazim is he's the only one who can stop that, right? So it's not surprising to see Naventic be able to open that skirmish like that, but I'm more impressed with the swiftness of it, you know? There was very little hesitation there.
Man, an immediate Cursed Bullet too, to make sure, if they put that on Stitches, it's going to get a lot of value, especially when it is a full health Stitches right at the start of the fight. So now No Tomorrow understand the game plan for Naventic. Can they adapt just like they did in game 1? It starts with this, Divine Shield on Tomster, keeps him alive for a little bit and draws away some of No Tomorrow to try to chase him down. But the rest are much happier to go and take down Zuna. And with the drag, Jason ensures it.
25 seconds is available for No Tomorrow. What are they going to do with it here? It looks like they're backing out, going to start up the boss. Naventic does not look like they're posturing around with that Iron Fist picked up with the Tracer kind of wailing away here. Now Oracle's down. Doesn't look like Naventic's going to be able to move in. Okay. There is still a small opportunity for Naventic here, but now that this boss is picked up and that pick happened the way that it does, and they're so far behind in structures, it's pretty much the next Shrine phase is their fight, you know? And if they fail to obtain that pre-16 window and initiate and open up that, it just feels like this game is really going to get out of control. No Tomorrow can just go trade for trade on about every objective, and eventually the game is theirs. Yeah,
the issue for Naventic is that it is Sky Temple, and the fact that they have gotten so far behind in structures limits them now on, it gives them a chance to be able to get back, especially if they can win this fight because they threw out Cursed Bullet. They can take down Casanova. iDream, though, is getting really low sitting inside of the Bile. Equinox drops out Pulse Bomb and recalls back out in the nick of time. Orb connects, takes down a lot of the shield before she can get in and use that lifesteal from Kala's Embrace, but Zuna is still body blocked.
Zuna is actually keeping himself alive decently well with the heals coming out from Tomster. Casanova getting the E, healing up himself. Drag is there. Equinox actually fell. Divine Shield, now they can turn. There's a man, at least even 50-50 here. Look at the counter synergy too. We talked about the Palm, how difficult that can be with just the Tassadar, not even considering Jason on the Dahaka. That's a cooldown missed. Tiger JK, he actually went in for the kill there. He tried to, you know, get some rebuttal.
Yeah, hoping that he could use that Iron Fist and his damage to get another kill for the team. But in taking out 2, and especially Tracer, they had Cursed Bullet back because of the low cooldown. Now Stitches goes down. That is a big staggered death time. Just look at the timers for No Tomorrow. 3 seconds until Tracer, then you've got Dahaka and 15, 30 for Stitches. These are the kinds of staggered deaths that allow a team to come back into the mid game.
Wow. I mean, I said that I felt like this was the fight, right? Pre-16, right over these shrines was where Naventic would be able to rely on No Tomorrow being in a set place where they could force an initiation. Thankfully, they were able to do so. They're onto the bottom keep, and with those kills, I mean, I don't want to say it's an even game, but it's pretty close.
They need to punish. They have a little bit of time before Stitches is back, and they do not want to trade on the temples. That doesn't get them back structurally. They know that they've been able to take back bottom. A new Barak is there, but they don't feel confident even knowing that Stitches wasn't back yet and being able to move in with their 4-man. And that was because No Tomorrow were so close to 16. Naventic have at least caught up in experience, and they're not going to lose a keep. So no catapults against them yet. They have a chance for another fight because they took the last one.
They're going to get the invade here. Scouting on the side, Zuna and Tomster. Nobody checked that shrub up above. Zuna's been scouted though, and nice reveal on the task. So everyone knows where Naventic's hanging around. Giants are going to be stacked together too. Dahaka has to respond for No Tomorrow. Eventually they can draw resources. Naventic's actually going to aid these Giants as well. I really like this choice.
16 such a huge power spike for them. Let's see what they can do with it. They've got Executioner now, as well as Benediction to aid that, and Remorseless Winter. Diamond Skin though, for big impact, choosing being able to stay alive, get that shield off of his teleport, enable his Calamity build over getting something like Mirror Ball or Fireflies. He knows that they have the damage as a team. They just need to be able to live through the Pulse Bomb especially. He knows he's a target for Equinox. They turn around, they blow up Equinox. Now Casanova using his Putrid Bile just to disengage.
But they do lose a keep in the process, Gilly. That Night Camp will inevitably take the top keep of Naventic. Jason receiving the healing out of adaptation, but it's only a matter of time before he goes down. Another staggered death. One after another here for No Tomorrow, and Naventic is not done. They're gonna move in here for the keep, drop Army of the Dead, and the 5 members of Naventic now, are they actually going to even this out?
They were posturing like maybe they're all getting fairly low on health, but they have the cocoon. They take out Stitches, and now that is a third staggered death again for No Tomorrow. Naventic is making it happen against all odds.
Tiger!
In game 4, Tiger goes in, and Divine Shield baited, but there's the palm.
And now he has one more dash. There it is. Well, 2 seconds before the next, he survives. I can respect what Tiger was trying to do there, and honestly, it was actually a winning trade from him because he got the Divine Shield for Divine Palm. Notice the difference there. 30 whole seconds that they will have the advantage on their Heroics trade. But talk about confidence there. I don't know another Karzim in the world that would zoom in there 1 versus 5 and try and take that.
All right, let's watch this again. It starts when Equinox goes in. They're able to catch her as they being Naventic, are retreating across the bridge.
It's right here. B-Kid goes stun, and they go, she did. Curse Bullet, Flask, everything. Used all at once there. You know, it is something we don't really, talk about too much, but with the TAS Tracer comp, Tracer is a lot of the flashiness and up in the front line doing the thing, but she also is terrible at initiating. You need somebody else with her, that double threat, and anytime Casanova can't provide that, she will easily get punished like we saw Naventic make happen there. But
Casanova.
Now the punishment, the palm is actually going to be stopped by the cocoon, so that is not going to go up. Look at Big Impact getting punched at there by Tiger JK. First kill on the Casanova, but it's 1 for 1.
It's a 1 for 1. Greymane is down. There goes the pulse bomb. Things are falling apart for Naventic as Leeming falls down. Tiger JK will drop, so Naventic stays in this 2 for 2. Equinox hoping that he can get the third kill. Another perfect stun from Tomster, tries to slow him down, but B-Kid is being chased down. Turnaround route from Zuna. And they'll turn on him too. They have the shielding still from trees, but Dahaka gets taken out. Naventic is still able to stay in this.
Yeah, the Pulse Bomb does end up landing. Tomster drops the Divine Shield. Whether it was necessary, I can't do the math that fast, but it was close enough, and they are going to play it safe. Naventic has found themselves in a lead for this game. They are still, suffering in the structure department, but they have got the experience going into their favor. Somebody's going to have to back for these catapults. They've got the shots cleared up. It's a game, and that is more than I expected to see here. Look at the synergy that Naventic's displaying there. With the I mean, everything about it is just so well done. And then, yeah, the cocoon is pretty dirty.
The only issue here definitely is that they didn't have Divine Shield initially in the fight. Tomster ends up getting it later and keeps himself alive so that he can drop it later on the Pulse Bomb. But it was a struggle for iDream and Big Impact to stay in that fight, stay alive. Obviously, we've seen the changes in the build, specifically Li Ming's, to try to help out with that and stay alive through the damage, getting Diamond Scan. And this will help too. Now that 20 has been picked up by Naventic, they immediately move in for the boss. But No Tomorrow's going to backdoor.
They are. They're just saying, what if we core? Gilly, I don't know how to say this, but this is more of a just drawback type situation.
Yes.
So it's like, again, this is like what I enjoy in the world of shot calling here. It's exciting to see out of No Tomorrow. Every time Naventic goes, well, we would like to get this, they're going like, well, you have to answer to us first. Really nice rotation there for No Tomorrow, especially the biggest thing whenever you do that kind of call, that you cannot risk somebody getting caught out. You're transitioning outward, has to be as a unit, it has to be swift, and you need to avoid dismounts at all costs. And luckily, No Tomorrow was able to do so. And we've got 25 seconds till we have another Shrine phase.
And that solved the age-old dilemma of what if our opponents get 20 first and go to the boss? We don't have to fight without 20 talent. Instead, we force them back. We say, you have to come back or you will lose the game as we attack the core. Naventic goes for it. No Tomorrow gets 20.
20 on 20. And 5 seconds remain. Whoever wins this next fight most likely will win the game. There goes Arthas with the Divine Shield very early on. Curse Bullet onto Casanova. The knockup is there, but the rebuttaling damage. Palm goes down, but look at that. There is already Greymane down, Gilly. But Stitches has got the punishment. Equinox with the Pulse Bomb. Parting Gift as well. Naventic is just getting turned on so fast in this fight.
It took just a little bit too long to try to get that first pick. The Storm Shield was so integral to No Tomorrow, keeping Stitches as alive as they could for that long. But Tomster's going to be back. Tiger JK immediately dashes away out of the line of stuns. Zuna has fallen. Only Tomster remains, and he gets knocked back. Gets stuffed, says Tracer. B-step to his end. No Tomorrow win the most important team fight of the game and of the series, because they will win it 3-1.
Well fought here for No Tomorrow and Naventic. Positive signs shown from both teams, but in the end, No Tomorrow find themselves the victor and can claim themselves better. Not a surprising result, but I feel like it is when we say the numbers, the 3-1 and the matter that fourth game, especially with the momentum you were talking about, when Naventic wins at the top half of a series before they have allowed the morale to possibly kind of deteriorate. And suddenly, games 3, they win. Game 4, they put up a hell of a fight.
Yeah, they played very well that game, especially given the fact that they got behind structurally. To be able to come back and make it that close of a game, to all come down to one fight, was incredibly impressive from Naventic. And we don't really know, obviously we're not mind readers, we don't know what it is about the mindset of Team Naventic, but it is very hopeful to see that a team that generally, when they don't win the first game or when they start to lose a couple of games and things just deteriorate really quickly, to see this kind of change from Naventic gives me a lot of hope for them in this part, and especially for part 2 of phase 2.
Yeah, part 2 is definitely the window that they've set for themselves, the part of their horizon that they look to gain and recover for themselves. Now is kind of just stop the bleeding as much as they possibly can. And after, again, the final games, I want to say that they've done so, but you have to do it every single game if you're going to be that type of thing. Consistency, I think, is the prime difference between the top half of our ladder and very much the bottom. We have great players across the board. It's just who shows up more often than the next is what it feels like. Like Tempo winning, I feel like a lot of the times was they were the most consistent team. Gale Force, consistency, always from those teams at the upper hand. They never seem to have that moment of break. Lapse of judgment oftentimes. And No Tomorrow is a team that shows that very much so right now, especially with their core calls and their decision making.
Yeah, they're bringing back their consistency too, which was important after losing to Gale Force Esports last weekend. They wanted to be able to break that and not get a losing streak going for them, especially after all that they have achieved throughout this part. They are so close to being able to get to the Western Clash. They have already played a lot of the other teams in contention. They're just down to Roll20 that they'll play next week. So being able to get that victory here, and they play, I believe, Superstars. Oh no, they play Even in Death on Sunday. If they're able to get that victory as well, things look very good for No Tomorrow. And a lot of those members to be able to go to their first international event at the Western Clash. And speaking of one of those members, let's check in with Casanova. Hey Casanova, congratulations. How are you guys feeling after the victory over Naventic?
We feel good. I think those last 2 games were a little sketchier than the first 2, so we'll definitely want to improve on that, make sure we're a little bit more consistent, because if we can play as well as those first 2 games always, that's kind of the ideal. But yeah, we're happy.
Good. That's good to hear. So specifically about Battlefield of Eternity, when we saw you guys ban Vala, we were wondering if you were going to try to take Lunara away and deny that. What was your thought process going into the drafting for that, and where do you feel like the issue came in and you guys not being able to win that game?
Really just after beating them the Cursed Hollow game in a similar composition, we felt we could just play the map better than them with that comp and not have to fight them, even though their comp is going to be a better team fighting comp. And we ended up just team fighting way too much and lost it because we played to their strengths instead of to what our comp strengths were.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Dread?
For me, I am beyond impressed with your guys' rotations. You guys seem to be pushing your advantage as far as you guys possibly can, and we know that a lot of that comes in with like the shot calling, obviously, and the influence from veteran players like Equinox. But I was just wondering, I feel like it has to be more than just a group at this point. Just what are the comms? What do they look like whenever games 1 and 2 specifically? Because you even admit that that is the ideal game. What does it sound like? What do you guys look like when that is happening? When things are going well?
When things are going well, really just everyone's talking. Like Equinox is going to call the main macro stuff, but really every person is saying, hey, I can rotate here, we can do this. Like someone will see someone overextended and we can be like, okay, we can pick them. And Equinox is like, oh yeah, pick them. Like go get that kill. And so like it's really just a full team effort of calling things. And Equinox is always just very fast to make the best decision in this situation once we give him all the options, what's going on the map. So it's a big group effort.
Do you guys kind of have more of everybody's flowing the information and kind of Equinox is more of like the filter or the final say kind of process is generally how it goes?
It's a mix. Like, that happens a lot of the time. Sometimes Equinox is just like on it, and he's just hitting point after point after point, and we just go with it. But yeah, it's kind of a mix. We do sometimes have just a bunch of ideas, and he quickly filters it.
Awesome. Thanks for that.
Well, Casanova, you guys have 2 series left in part 1, Even in Death on Sunday, and then Roll20. How confident are you that you guys will be able to go to the Western Clash?
Well, we're very confident versus Even in Death. I mean, we do think that they're a very actually good team that they've shown in scrims. It's just they haven't been able to translate that to the HGC. So we're pretty confident going up against them. Roll20, we also feel like we can beat, but I do feel it's more of a toss-up. Like, they're a very good team, and it could really go either way. We do think we can go to the Clash, I think, with just the Even in Death win. So we're still, like, pretty good on, like, we think we can make Clash.
Awesome. Well, good luck to you with that. Good luck to you on Sunday as well. Shout-outs before we let you go.
Yeah, shout-outs to the team. Everyone did a really good job today. Shout-outs to our manager, Chrissy Flower. Shout-outs to our coach, Huge. Shout-outs to Twitch chat. I love you, Twitch chat. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Casa. No Tomorrow gets a very important victory. And I'm being playing off. They're playing us out. No, that was a very important victory because of how convoluted the top of the standings are for North America, every victory matters. And really, every game matters. It may come back that when you look at game score, that one loss to Naventic might make things even scarier for No Tomorrow, but we won't know for sure until the end of next weekend.
Yeah, and I feel like the next series that we have here for North America is pretty much, for me, it's like out of these final 2 weeks, if you were to list like the high impact, this is the first one that we're going to have. Is between, what is it, Team Freedom and Roll20.
Yes.
Whoever wins this, we talked about what they need to do. They know they have Roll20 up there. Imagine if Roll20 struggles in here, that betters the odds for No Tomorrow. Like, you know, it's just everything about it here is adding up to make a crazy storm at the top of North America.
It is important for Western Clash qualification. It is important because it is going to be so much fun between these two teams that are proficient at team fighting. We're heading to a break, and when we come back, we'll have Roll20 versus Team Freedom. Stick with us.
5 seconds remain. Whoever wins this next fight most likely will win the game. There goes Arthas with the Divine Shield very early on. Curse Bullet onto Casanova. The knockup is there, but the rebuttaling damage. Palm goes down, but look at that. There is already Greymane down, Gilly. But Stitches has got the punishment. Equinox with the Pulse Bomb, Parting Gift as well. Naventic is just getting turned on so fast in this fight.
It took just a little bit too long to try to get that first pick. The Storm Shield was so integral to No Tomorrow, keeping Stitches as alive as they could for that long. But Tomster's going to be back. Tiger JK immediately dashes away out of the line of stuns. Zuna has fallen. Only Tomster remains, and he gets knocked back. Gets stuffed, says Tracer. B-step to his end. No Tomorrow.